Hello, welcome to today's webinar. Excited to be here with everyone to talk about key elements that you need for a successful offering page, a successful raise page. And we are joined with our creative head, Brendan Togioka. Brendan, welcome to the webinar. I figured we'd kick off, talk a little bit about your background, your expertise, get into mine, talk about DNA, and walk into the content.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jason, so much for having me on today. Again, I'm Brendan Togioka, creative specialist here at DNA. I've been working with the web and graphics and design for over 6 years now, and then specifically working with DNA for over a year and a half, working on equity crowdfunding campaigns, trying to gain more investors, users, customers, everything. And it's been great. I really do focus on a lot of advertisements and social creatives, as well as campaign videos and landing pages or raise pages, as we're going to discuss today.
Awesome. Awesome. And as many of you know, DNA is a leading user and investor acquisition agency. We've worked on over 250 equity crowdfund campaigns, selling securities to both retail and accredited investors across Regulation CF, Reg A Plus, and to accredited investors for Reg D, commonly used by our real estate clients and various other types of issuers who are going after that type of raise. We've been able to apply these foundations to various premium audiences, including investors for fintech projects, cryptocurrency, digital assets. But I want to mention this can be used for any high-level audience that you're going after. We see it to be very fruitful for equity crowdfunding and investor acquisition. We've used these approaches to raise 9 figures of capital for our clients. We're going to show you the exact formulas, talk about what we look at as good, what we look at as subpar in terms of best practices and industry averages. Feel free to type in questions as we are moving along here. We'll look to address some of those towards the end. We'll also make our contact information available so that you can reach out. We could advise on your campaign specifically. And we're here to share insights. We want to see a higher level of success industry wide, and look at these webinars, look at our calls directly with issuers as a format to do so. When we look at the top equity crowdfunding campaigns, a good percentage of them are ours, and even the ones that we don't work with directly, I could reference conversations we've had with them. We want to be able to play that role in the space. So we've talked about our overviews a bit. Before we get into what are the key elements you need for a raise page, I want to talk briefly about why, and then pose this question for Brendan, of course. When I look at digital marketing, the single biggest variable when it comes to performance is the conversion rate. The offering page is a direct mirror to what that percentage is. If you strengthen your offering page, if you strengthen your landing page, you will see increases to your conversion rate. You will see a higher volume of investors come out of the traffic that you're sending to that funnel. And this is a never-ending practice. It is never finished. If I look at Reg A Plus campaigns that are doing over $20 million, Reg Ds that are in the same ballpark, Reg CFs that are in the 7-figure level and looking to scale to 5, they all want to look at tactics to have a stronger takeaway from the traffic they're already receiving on their page, i.e. a higher conversion rate. So Brendan, as an overview, when you get posed this question from a client, from an issuer, what is the top level perspective? What are the key elements you need for a raise page?
Yeah, so I think the key elements you need in your raise page is really, you can base it off your pitch deck. There's certain things that you should always have. You should be, mentioning your problem, the solution that you guys are offering, talking about the market, and really showing social proof as well. There's so many different things you could add, talking about the team, and we're going to get into all this a little bit later. But really, it's just a representation of your company. The key elements that you need, everything that, it's going to convert the person, going to get them intrigued. You want to put your best foot forward. So yeah, really putting your best foot forward is the most important thing for these. And remember, we're raising, right? So this isn't necessarily always to sell a product, but to really sell your company, what you guys are doing, your mission.
Absolutely. And this is the central point. This is where all investors are directed to, and following SEC guidelines on that. There's not supposed to be information that is not living on the offering page. Marketing channels are supposed to be an extension of that offering page. This is to democratize the investment opportunity for everyone, all investors, retail, accredited, on a Reg CF, Reg A Plus campaign are presented with the same information. This should be representative, mirroring a conversation that an investor would have with you in person. What is the experience they're getting? It better be the same emotion that you're creating, the same takeaways that your offering page is set up to do. Like you said, Brendan, you want to have your best foot out the door. You want to be selling the brand to the best ability. What we're doing here is offering securities. It's essentially an e-commerce site for shares. And I've seen it looked at by different perspectives from VCs, the portals themselves. As a digital marketer, we're building an e-commerce funnel, and that funnel allows individuals to purchase equities in your business. So an interactive pitch deck for investors. You want to make sure it answers all questions that they may have. You don't want them left with more curiosity. Sure, you could have updates. You could have a Q&A depending on the portal or how your offering page is set up on your site. There's some great platforms to have that set up on your site. But you want to make sure it doesn't leave them uncertain. You want them to feel good about the investment on the first touch. It's likely going to take multiple visits, 7 touch points or more, before they end up putting in their financial information and moving forward. Keep that in mind as well. But you want them to feel like they're going to do it, that they would do it, that this is an attractive offer after that first visit. Now, Brendan, in your perspective, with the creative lens, what's the goal of a raise page?
The goal of the raise page, I mean, obviously we talked, right, getting more investors, users, all that stuff, acquisition, but it's really to make money, right? To make conversions, to get people, who maybe are interested, they see an advertisement and then they go to your raise page and they're like, okay, this is a company that I can, believe in. I believe in their mission, what they're doing, their product. So really, on the creative side, you want to make it look as clean and presentable as possible. A lot of companies have these really high valuations for their companies, but sometimes their pictures can, be blurry or pixelated. Things just don't look put together. So really, making sure that creatively and design-wise, your page looks and represents your company, to the highest quality that you can is really important.
Absolutely. You look at the valuations that are showing up on these filings, on these offerings. I believe the average is now $20 million for a Reg CF. Does your page, whether that's your valuation or not, because you're going to be competing against these other offerings, represent a $20 million organization? Is it more indicative of a startup that kind of took a basic PowerPoint and threw it up on a portal? Which side of the spectrum are you going to be living in? Does it pass the eye test? That last bullet on here. I'm guilty of being a glancer. I will look at the news in the morning on my phone, maybe pull up 10 to 20 articles. I'm not reading everyone. I'm looking at headlines. I'm scrolling through. Maybe a couple articles I'll dive further into. I'll pull more depth, more details, but I already know where I'm going. The narrative's been set. That glance test is important for an equity crowdfunding page, an investment offering page as a whole. Don't anticipate your audience spending 10 to 20 minutes on this URL. They're going to get a few seconds and determine whether they want to continue. So when they glance, what are they seeing? What are the headlines? What aspects of the visuals are really resonating with them? If they start to scroll down, are they being brought further in? Are they starting to feel repetition? Are they feeling underwhelmed? We want to know what their experience is going to be. We want to create that intentionally. The glance test is the first part of the goal. I want investors excited about what they're seeing here. So the elevator pitch plays into that. You don't want the audience just to know your elevator pitch well enough for them to absorb it. You want them to embrace it strong enough that they can repeat it back to others that they speak to that day. I've mentioned this on the webinar before, on our webinar series. What are they going to say to their friends? What are they going to say to their family? Are they going to butcher it? Are you giving them the tools to be able to repeat 3 words back, 1 line back to them. What is the elevator pitch? I want to be able to ask the audience, not you. Make sure your page articulates that in a strong enough way. The top 3 reasons to invest. Again, you are setting their psychological experience. If you're creating the narrative, here's why you should invest, it's going to stick with them. If they have to formulate those ideas on themselves, a percentage of the audience simply won't. A percentage will be off. A percentage may get it, but you want that portion, that subset, to be higher. You want to convey that you're a leader in this space. You want to talk about where this space is going. You can't make forward-looking statements when you're following full compliance, which you need to do, but you can talk about the industry and where the industry is going and what else is happening. Comparables, like with real estate. This is what the building across the street's selling for. This is the space we're playing in. You are now educated. You can understand where this ship is going. That's what you want to be able to push along to an investor. You want to show that momentum. This is a moving vessel. You could become part of it. This is where we're going. Even if you have to change the path down the line as a founder, you want to be the captain of the ship that is explaining where the itinerary is going in detail, not leaving any doubt around that. Brendan, anything to add to that? I know we talked about the missing out at the bottom here. Anything else you want to add before we move to the next page here?
No, just bringing up a little bit. I know you talked a little bit about headlines, and when you're doing the glance test, and even if you're just scrolling through the page, you're looking at the headlines and you're looking at the pictures. So headlines, they're almost, the pictures obviously draw you in, but headlines are what will really help you remember things. So you want to try to keep those as clear and concise as possible. Maybe if you can put your reasons to invest throughout it in headlines somehow, just making those things really stand out. So when they're like, oh, this is what the solution was, right? And then they can remember just like that.
Boom. Exactly. Give them those guidelines, give them the pieces to work off there. Now, if we look at the breakdown of what makes a converting raise page, you want to ask yourself the following 10 questions. Brendan, I know I've pointed the last content at you for these pages. I'll fire through them real quick. And then if you want to hop on and explain what some of them mean to you. You may, as listeners, recognize these from pitch decks. You may recognize them from pages you follow. And I highly encourage you to look at multiple pages that are similar to you on the portal you'll be launching on, or directly on client sites if you're hosting this on your site, and make sure it's on par. Make sure what you're building is going to measure up. So if the audience looks at both pages, it is a fair comparison. When doing so, find what stands out to you. What are they talking about? What are they mentioning from this list? What are they not? From the problem, the solution, what is the business model? Don't get so entangled in the product to forget that they're investing in the business. What is the underlying magic, the technology? How are marketing and sales going to be conducted? How is the company going to grow as a result? Because the investment needs to grow. Number 5, this is why we focus on it, is the vehicle to get there. What is the competition doing? I am a big believer in success leaves clues. There's things you could take from your model. There's ways you can show that you're going to be outperforming and taking on more marketing share over time as a result. Who is the team? We invest in individuals. Who is the team? Is the CEO a repeat actor in this industry? Does he have a strong portfolio of success? Do you have different wins that you could talk about? Why are you the best fit to run the company? Share this with the individuals who will be backing you. What are the projections? What are the milestones? Again, make sure you're acting compliantly here. Status and timeline, and a summary and call to action. Ask for the business, ask for the sale is important here. You want to talk about how it'll impact the growth of the organization. Brendan, anything to add to this list?
Yeah, one thing that I think that every page can use is social proof. There's no bullet here specifically for it, because I think that you can, really litter it throughout the whole page. And having different types of social proof can be great. So you can use, customer testimonials, investor testimonials, anyone on your team, anyone in the industry who's really big, any big names or any brands that you work with that can recommend you. All these things can get you social proof. And really, you shouldn't be selling your product. You should have other people sell your product for you, right? Or sell your service for you. That way, as an investor usually, or even just going to a restaurant, you're always looking at reviews, right? always trying to see which one's the best. So if you see really good testimonials and you see, okay, they have a proof of concept, these big names are supporting them, these are companies that you want to invest in. These are the types of companies that are going to convert more. So social proof, definitely, again, throughout the whole page, if you can, maybe 3 to 4 places, just spreading it out, really just showing people that people care about your product and they're taking the time to write the testimonial, to do the video. Even video testimonials are great too, if you could do those.
If you're to take one thing from this webinar, still getting used to the mic placement here, it is what Brendan just said. I echo that. Have others do the selling for you. It was actually part of a video I saw this morning, and to hear you say those same words, show your lead investors. Why did they participate? Why did this look attractive to them? Show strategic partners, show lead clients. As Brendan said, any influencers, anyone who has an existing audience. This doesn't have to be a Instagram model. It can be, and I've seen it done before. It just has to be anyone who can tap into their existing warm audience and say, hey, I just did a video on this offering page. Take a look at it. It's not investment advice, but take a look at it. People don't believe what they see online. And if you have others do the selling for you, if you have others talk about why investing in you is such a great idea, it will show up in the response rates. And Brendan, I like how you mentioned have it layered in all the way through, have a testimonial, have logos of partners, logos of publishers that have featured you. I've never looked at a page and said, hey, this is too much social proof. Remove this. I just don't like how many people are talking about you. And I can't picture investors doing the same, especially if it's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan, how do you look at competition?
Yeah, I think competition, like you said earlier, and you brought it up, you can learn a lot from your competition. And, I think being able to define how your brand differentiates from everyone else is one of the most key importance to your pitch. People want to know why is your company different? There's hundreds of companies that can invest in, there's already 100 companies that are out there in the market, but really what makes you and your brand special? So I think doing research on your competitors, seeing what they're into, what they're focused on, their missions, comparing to what you have, and then, showing how yours is better, how you're improving, how you're giving value to the industry.
And there's so much that could be taken in terms of learnings when doing this research. I'd mentioned earlier, it's a Tony Robbins quote, but success leaves clues. You want to have an understanding, why are people converting on their page? What is happening? There are investor reviews on platforms like WeFunder and Republic. You could get an understanding of what stood out to those individuals about the deal. There are different updates that you can analyze and see, like, okay, what was happening during these stages of the campaign. You could look at King's Crowd and other analytics platforms to get an understanding of when the campaign increased and when different milestones were hit. Maybe there's a review that Chris Lustrino and the team put together about the deal. I could go at length about this for marketing competitive audits. Don't want to drift too far from the audit page, but I want to know everything they did to bring on investors, the social channels they use, the day and time of week of post, which content got the most engagement. I'll look up their ads in Facebook ad library. We have a variety of SEO tools that'll tell us about traffic they were receiving in multiple locations. Certainly a Google News search, and having an understanding of what publishers talked about them, what influencers. The email newsletters are a bit tougher to identify, but you want to have that type of science, that scientific analysis of how they were able to do it, what elements you're able to incorporate in your page, what elements you don't like and don't want to have in there whatsoever. And usually this leads to inspiration. Oh, they did this. What if we did that? And that's the type of discussion you want to take from their model and be able to move it to the next stages. Now, featuring the team, Brendan, have you ever looked at the team on these pages? Have you ever looked at the team on other investments or friends' investments? Why is this such an important thing? I hear it mentioned in webinars constantly. We have it in the middle of ours, but it's obviously very important. Why do you think it's such a standout in terms of that individual investor, that audience's review?
Mhm. Yeah, I think a lot of people are investing in the team. They're investing in the leadership. They want to see that the CEO, the executive team, that they've had successful exits before, that they've been able to run companies, without a hitch, and that, they were profitable. People want to see, oh, this person, they're in the industry already. They've been working in this market for like 50 years or something. They know what they're doing. They know what's going on. So featuring the team, can be really important. You can utilize that to your strengths, really, I know, for example, Start Engine, I know they're using some people on Shark Tank there to like promote their stuff. Just being able to put, um, being able to put strong leadership, show strong leadership experience, helps just people invest in the team. Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to be able to see, I think I made the analogy earlier, who's behind the wheel.
Mhm.
What is their track record? Are they committed to success? Are they bouncing around a lot? What makes me believe that this team is going to win the March Madness tournament, the NBA finals, the World Series? This is the same you would for a sports team. Who are the different team members? What is the dynamic of this organization, this company? This is another place to be able to showcase social proof. Do not be shy to talk about past companies you're at, past projects, past successes. Why you? Why? Be able to state it as if the investor was interviewing you or asking directly, because this page will be the arena for thousands, in some cases more, of prospective investors to evaluate your deal, evaluate your opportunity. And again, you really want to shine in this level. This is the human element of what success looks like. So the leadership, the experience, people invest in the team, any first degrees you bring in, sell yourself, add investors to showcase the third party validation. They are part of the team as well. Who is your lead investor? Who are other investors? Get testimonials from them. It's part of a whole nother marketing webinar we have from content marketing, but make sure this is front and center. Get everyone you can involved. You want to be able to show strength. You want to be able to show that you are the best ones to do this.
Yep. And one more thing on that too. We've worked with some companies, that have had celebrities on their team, other athletes, and they've been able to utilize these, these celebrities and athletes in their promotions and their advertisements to help sell the product, and then you're also increasing your brand awareness, getting your product out there to all of the influencers, audience. And so it's a win-win all around there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I should mention, when it's celebrities, yes, there's celebrities who it's well known are paid for endorsements. You don't want it to have that feel as much as that celebrity has a genuine interest in your vertical, in your organization. You want to be able to show why. You want to be able to talk about that in depth. Maybe they're known as an industry expert. Maybe they're known as a financial thought leader and are able to identify things in you as a founder, in your team, that stood out to them. And they're able to talk about why this deal, why they move forward. It has to feel as authentic as possible, should seem organic. Who knows what the arrangement is for any of these individuals to talk about a campaign? You actually could look on, Reggae Plus campaigns, and you could see what different influencers were paid. But at the same time, it should feel real. It should feel like a very true statement. And yes, harping on the social proof even more. Let's really push it out there louder, add more social proof. Who of visible nature can talk about your company? How can you incorporate them as part of your team? Are questions you should be asking again and again. Brendan, what do you think about video? Does every campaign need a video?
Yes, 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 yes. 100 times yes. It's one of the most important parts, I think, of the page. And if you do go to a lot of different equity raising platforms, you'll see, all the top pages have videos. Now, these don't always have to be, super high, amazing production quality, but they definitely need to sum up what your company does. If you can think about the 10 things that we said you should include in your landing page, you can, take those things, maybe, shorten it a bit, make it 2 to 3 minutes long, really nail down what your company is, what you guys do. Again, like Jason said, always adding social proof. And yeah, it's just a quick glance into your company. So obviously you're not going to include everything, right? We're going to try to keep this short and concise, but it's a good tester kind of teaser into what you guys offer. And once people, if people sit down and watch through your whole video, if it's intriguing, then they'll be like, okay, let me look a little bit more through the page. And then, all right, now it's time for me to invest. So I think it's the first step kind of to converting people after they click through to your page.
You wouldn't believe how often we get asked this question. And there are many new portals that are entering the market. They should all be, working with video as part of this pitch. You want to be able to relate. Again, prospective investors, they want to know the people who is behind this. What are their facial movements? What do they sound like? What type of feel do I get watching this founder speak? Do I want to invest in this individual? Will they be hitting the milestones they're talking about? This is difficult to translate in copy or infographics. Video is a space to do that. And we'll see 2.5, 3.5 minute videos, 5 minute videos have a stronger impact than a 30-minute in person in some cases. I would still opt for the in person, but you're able to really carve out and polish the presentation, remove areas that are unnecessary. We've done webinars on video itself, but it is such a key piece of the offering page. The hero image, the hero text of the offering pages. Hero image is really the video. It's right there. You get the thumbnail of the founder, maybe making a face like this mid-sentence as they're starting their pitch, and then the key headline. That may be all of the attention that you get from most of your traffic before they bounce. Make sure that piece alone is selling. And then, 10 seconds in, 15 seconds in, 30 seconds in, they're still engaged. Completion rates of videos are not high. So be very intentional. Make sure every word, every scene is needed. If anything can be removed, get it out of there. I'd love to see a high completion rate with a video that walks through the points, as Brendan was mentioning, and sells the deal. You want them pre-committed by the time they finish this video. That is the ultimate goal. And did we mention social proof? Make sure that is front and center in the videos. Brendan, you want to set the stage for Berkus, and I can pull up the video here.
Yeah, sure. So Berkus is one of the clients that we've been working with. They're doing a Reg CF race, I believe. And they have a great campaign video that we wanted to present and share with all you guys. You guys can see kind of how they break everything down. They do a really good job, especially of giving updates on what they're doing and where they're going. So I'll let Jason go ahead and play this for us.
I guess I should turn on the volume.
But in fact, it's a destination unlike any other. I'm Paul Miller. I toured with the greatest show on earth, and it turns out the circus makes money selling concessions. That's why we started the Berkus Brewing Company. We just opened up our second location, the concession stand in downtown Covington, across the street from Braxton, on the same block as Agave and Rye and Hotel Covington. We are excited to bring our wood-fired artisanal pizzas and our crafted lagers and ales to downtown Covington. The law just changed in Kentucky, which allows us to self-distribute to any bar or restaurant, and in fact, sell to ourselves at this new location. This was impossible just a few years ago. In the middle of the pandemic, we built a wood-fired pizza oven and partnered with Chef Cusimano from Venice, Italy. Just like everything we do, it's quality. This is the Ludlow Theater, where we've hosted circus artists from around the world, where every weekend, live music, live circus, and a destination brewery unlike any other, with death-defying circus, craft beer, wood-fired pizzas. And we can thank these artists from over 42 countries who've helped us bring this to fruition. We say Budweiser's got Clydesdales, and we've got Circus Freaks. Now it's your turn to run away. We're the first crowdfunding brewery, and we want to continue this momentum. For $250, you can own a piece of our circus brewery. For $2,000, you can make a custom beer with us. You can design the label. We'll make it happen. And for $5,000, we will throw a party unlike anything you've ever seen at the historic Ludlow Theater. We are focused and fearless. Our business model's been around for 200 years. We'll be around for 200 more. Now it's your turn to run away with the Bierkus Brewing Company.
Thanks. So that's the video. Something we haven't really brought up is adding a little bit about the perks that you guys offer for your campaign as well too, which they added in there, which can be really good. People can see, oh, if I invest, then I also get a little bit of something too. So it's not just, they're investing in the company, they think they're going to do well. They're also, possibly going to get some perks back as well. What do you think about the video, Jason?
So it's a perfect example of this medium, this format having a more impactful presentation than even just a dialogue over the course of a couple minutes with the founder. Again, each has its strength, but this allows for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of prospective investors to be provided that consistent, all-encompassing overview of the product. I felt like I could taste the pizza. I felt the excitement watching some of the stunts. I really trust the founder, even just hearing the overview and the passion and the authenticity. He's going to hit the milestones in a brief perspective. Again, not investment advice, but you could sense this, or at least how audiences would watching this video. It checks the boxes for us as an agency in terms of what can make this impactful. And again, I just think it takes it to exponentially higher levels than reading an offering page on its own. Again, this may seem like 101 to any issuers or portals listening in saying, yeah, okay, I get it. We need a video. But, is your video selling the securities to the best level? Could you have taken it to greater lengths in terms of what scenes you're pulling in, what type of dialogue, the ask? Obviously, the call to action was very clear on this. How could you say no type of feeling is what I heard from one team member. So that's why we wanted to point this one out. Brendan, anything to add to that as I'm pulling up the next page here?
Just a few things. I thought that something that really helps in their video is they have a lot of great content of their actual place. They actually show them making the pizzas, they show the performers, showing that they actually are a legitimate business. They have the proof of concept, everything's going already. They're just trying to raise funds to expand. I think that was great. And something too, you can tell that they put time and effort into the video. Like we said with your raise page in general, you want to put your best foot forward. And the campaign video being one of the first things people see really needs to instill that vision. So everything about your brand, about how you guys want to portray yourself, all that needs to really be shoved into this video, compressed so that people can really just get it, in an instant.
And you want them to be engaged enough to, like I mentioned, be pre-committed towards the investment, feel like, yeah, I would go in at one of those levels. And continue reading down the page. Allow the page to then take more details into account, go into each one of the different topics, explain the nature of what it is to invest in the organization, and then be able to click that invest button. Smash that invest button, as the YouTubers would say. That is the goal of the video, is taking them one step further into that process. So, Brendan, I know this is something you guys talk about over and over again in the creative department, and for good reason. Do you want to explain what this page means to you?
Yeah, so pretty much just take your time. A lot of times with campaigns, we see that businesses, they're always trying to start their campaign as soon as possible. Even if they're still scrambling to get everything together, like, they don't even have all their brand assets. They don't have their advertising set up. They're still setting up their social accounts, all this stuff. So there's really no rush to start your campaign. I know that businesses do need to make money and that there is always a time deadline on things. But again, like we've been saying, always putting your best foot forward. You don't want to start your campaign and then, your landing page is kind of lackluster. You're going to update it, but it's not ready. The first week or two of raising is almost some of the most important. You really want to show in the first couple of weeks that you can raise money, that you're creating traction, that people already are investing in it, that it's something that is an opportunity that people shouldn't miss out on. So really taking your time, making sure that the video is good. Like I said, like all your accounts, your socials, the whole page is read through multiple times, just doing your due diligence right before everything is launched.
Exactly. And we understand when we're introduced to an issuer from a portal or any group that's currently working on the campaign, there's of course a lot of moving pieces outside of marketing, from legal, financial audits, various types of advisors. There could be multiple vendors in place for any number of these things as well too. It's so much work to get a filing complete, accepted, activated with the SEC. Then to build a page on a portal or using a platform on your own site to be able to get a video in place there. The whole exercise is to be able to raise capital. You need those funds to be able to accelerate the company's momentum, if not solely to provide the resources to be able to hit the next milestones of your organization. So to go through this entire process to raise capital can feel like something new. I hear a lot of conversations around the cost of capital and assuming that it's going to be produced in a month, 2 months. And I have to point at success rates within the industry, how many campaigns actually hit 7-figure levels, how many campaigns hit their full goal, not just a minimum goal, but their full goal. And point out the most do not. And therefore, you should take your time. You should be making sure everything is to the strongest point, that you have the best chances that your brand can have towards success using this avenue. I find that to be more important than rushing to get live, failing fast in many situations. There's a lot of campaigns that I look at. We get approached from issuers who are in planning. We get introduced to campaigns that are live and plateaued, as well as live and scaling. It's usually one of those three categories that I bucket them into, because it's a different dynamic, to say the least. So the hurry up and wait portion of the filing, the being paused during the live campaign and performance is stopped. In any of these, you want to really take the next stages slowly, make the necessary developments, whether that's initial development or optimizations to your offering page, to your video. In many aspects, you only get one shot at each investor. I can tell you that if we use our audiences and we're driving traffic to an offering page and the page has a very small amount raised, it's not really polished up, it doesn't have much social proof in there, it's much tougher to bring those investors back at a later time, in comparison to taking those investors once the page looks good, once the raise is at a decent point, and first degree connections. And that's a big part of these pages as well, is how many people have invested already. If you're over 100K, I think some of the portals say over 250K. If you have 100 or more investors, you are primed for cold audiences to think this is exciting, to be able to see that line around the block where if you launch and you have under $10,000 raised, this is multiple issuers we've spoken to, recently, and only a few investors. Meanwhile, you're valuing at $20 million and talking about the disruptive nature of your business. That could be a big area of focus for a prospective investor on top of all of this. So take your time and bring all the audiences to the table. Take your time and make sure everything is perfect, as Brendan's saying here. If you contact us and say, I want to be live tomorrow, and we put the creative team, if Brendan and ZL and the team here at DNA are rushing to get visual assets together, it is not best practices. We can do so. We can make second iterations. We've hopped in on the last 2 weeks of a campaign and doubled what's been raised. So, we want to talk about what we can do, what we can't, what's expectable, what's not. But the theme here is make sure the page is to the best ability before you start driving people to it. don't rush. It's better to get it right than to be live. So I want to get into a few more examples here. Can look to pull them up, but even just looking at the page here, because we're going to make this deck available to everyone after the show. Brendan, what stands out to you about these pages? And I know Rise as an example, they have a Reggae Plus. They've had other offering pages outside of this one as well. What stands out to you about these pages? What do you want the audience to be honing in on?
Yeah, well, immediately, we can obviously see their video, and each of them has a pretty strong thumbnail. I think, shows their brand, represents what they are, what they do. And then on these platforms specifically, you can see, right, how much they've raised, a little bit more stats about the company, and then automatically you can see reasons to invest, right? So you have the video, and then immediately we have reasons to invest. You already know, like, okay, these are the reasons why this company is special. These are why they're going to make it, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see.
Okay, I think I'm back to full screen here. Oh.
Yeah.
So back to how much is raised. The first thing my eyes go to here is the raise. I see Sapien X. I see the subheader, AI software that gives a voice and intelligence to products. Okay. AI, reading about it daily, have an understanding that this is the future. I think Elon Musk even fears it. So you're automatically ringing a bell with me. I understand the gratitude of the mission of the organization. Software gives a voice and intelligence to products. Okay. So what it's telling me is products in my life are going to be able to have a voice and intelligence. So beyond just Siri and Alexa, who we appreciate, there will be other devices I will be able to speak to. Now, before I start getting a gauge on whether I think that's realistic, whether the milestones are going to be hit, I see that 1,060 investors, as a captain would say on a ship, to go back to that analogy, and 1,060 souls have gone through this page, pressed that invest now button, put in all of their personal information, their financial information, things that you're not supposed to disclose to anybody, and put in, as you could see here, a $500 plus investment. It's actually a bit lower, but the $500 reward is where that taps in. So minimum investment $100. I tell you the average is higher than that, even just looking at the math here. But 1,060 investors, they've produced $812K just on this raise. They had a $1.2 million raise before. For anyone who doesn't work in the industry, up until March 15th of last year, 1.07 was the top that you could raise. That was the full cap. What this tells me is they did a bit of an extension past that, just as an audience member. We, of course, know the background, but 1.23 million raised before, now over $2 million raised. That alone is that social proof. That alone is that third-party validation. If you look at Start Engine campaigns, this is towards the top, not just historically, but currently what's live. If I'm looking at the top charts on Start Engine, this is going to stand out. That means this is going to stand ahead of all the other deals that have 100K, 50K. I think Start Engine will start promoting you at 45K. Keep that in mind. That is the loudest third-party validation. Then we get into a bit more detail, compress the video, but we've created a voice assistant powered AI that can interact with users as if it were their best friend. Today, we are working with companies that make cars, appliances, smart home devices, and vending machines to voice enable a new generation of products. So we take the subheader above the video. We're now getting more information, more detail, having a better understanding. As Brendan pointed out, we got the reasons to invest. And from there, we could continue scrolling. I want to point out the drop downs that are available there. Overview, which is what you're going to scroll down. That is the main page. Team. Start Engine's built a whole section just on that because of how important it is to investors. Terms, going to be able to look at the valuation, the offering statement, everything that was filed with the SEC. Updates, looks like they've done 12 active companies. Sounds like a lot of momentum, things that are going on. And then comments. Those are from prospective investors, from audiences. Notice on Start Engine, you can press follow and continue to get updates around each issuer. But this right here is all you're going to get from prospective investors. Those who are thinking right now, all right, scroll down. It's a screenshot of this section and not the whole page for a reason. This is the above the fold. You can't anticipate that you're going to get any more attention from audiences. And, again, would you invest off this? 1,060 have, you could see immediately without watching the whole video, without going down further, why they did. Brendan, any additional analysis to add to this example?
I just wanted to bring something up. You had brought up a little bit about updates and comments, and those are something that we didn't mention yet, but that if your platform offers it, you should definitely take advantage of. Providing company updates is great to keep investors and prospective investors updated on what you're doing. So for example, if you have a new prototype and you just got a patent, you should definitely make a post on the portal telling people, hey, we just hit this milestone, we just got this patent, anything like that, or hey, we just got this new partner, like we're working with like Nike or Tesla or something, any of those big names. Those kinds of things also provide social proof, and updates too just let people know, hey, this company's keeping up with it. It's not like they started their campaign, they're not posting anything anymore. This company's invested, they want people to know what's happening. And then regarding comments, if people leave comments or questions, make sure that you get back to them. And if you happen to see a lot of the same comments or questions, maybe think about adding that into your page. Maybe you forgot to mention something about the materials you use or something, and lots of people are asking. You can always update your page to have a small little section about that as well, so that future people aren't as confused. They get it the first time they see the page, and yeah, they're good to go.
Exactly. Now, going back to the presentation here, have a few more examples we want to share with you. When doing so, just want to take a break for a moment and talk about why we're being direct in our communications, why this is so important. And when we're speaking with the prospective issuer, when we're speaking to an issuer that's already live, they're asking us, how do I do this successfully? I've spent all this money to get to this point. I now understand I need to spend on marketing. A portal told me I need to anticipate 10% of my total goal that I need to spend on marketing. You guys are telling me I could have a lower starting point and then scale into as it's working. I get presented with comments such as, this has to work. If it doesn't, my company's out of business. I'm going to make it work, and I'll stay involved as long as I can, but I have to make payroll. I have to do these different pieces. So as we're showing these pages, that's what's in the background of these discussions, not these specific founders, I should point out, but we have a client list of over 60 issuers. This is a commonality, whether it's a company that's just at a scaling point. These raises are very important. I would not sacrifice anything in terms of time, video quality, having additional consultants look at your messaging, doing a focus group among compliant audiences. So maybe your investment is on a portal where there's a private investment setting, and you're actively asking for feedback on the offering page from your first degree connections that you're sending over there. Maybe ones that are a bit more blunt with you, a bit more brutal, that'll give you meaningful feedback that you can then implement. Remember, it's all about what you do with data. We've talked about this on our advertising workshops. So really applying it and making the necessary changes. But do not sell your brand short here. Again, we're being direct because this is the difference from a campaign that hits multiple seven figures and a campaign that contacts us with about 160 grand. They started with us maybe 100 grand, 120, and saying, hey, I know we rushed to launch. We're gonna have to close it up. We need the capital. We've done enough rolling closes. We want to get the investors that are on the sideline. A lot of investors wait till the last days to participate. So we need to wrap it up. This is your product. When you're selling these securities, is this offering page. So trying to show you the examples of the campaigns that are working. A top Reg A Plus campaign, and have an example of one of their offering pages here is Rise. Smart home device to automate window shades and save energy. Had the pleasure of being with their CEO at Equity Crowdfunding Week on a panel. Have had in-depth conversations about where this company is going. They're definitely a standout. You can see on the highlights, receive 10% of our net revenues until you earn 1.75x your investment, 2x for early birds, creating immediacy, showing what pitch decks historically would look at as the exit strategy, the return on investment page. Number two, offering over 2.3 million in sales revenue in the last 2 fiscal years. So pointing towards the growth, not a forward-looking statement, but overall talking about trajectory. Brendan, what else do you see when you look at an offering page such as Rise?
I mean, I love how on their thumbnail they have that they've been awarded 4 patents. You know, patents are huge, and people see when you have your proprietary technology, that, you know, that means something, that you guys have been established. You guys have went through all the effort, you know, to get the patents already. So you guys have your product. Now it's just about scaling, right? And, you know, improving on that product, making iterations. But yeah, that's definitely something I think gives a lot of strength and proof for your company.
Mm-hmm. Notice how there's numbers on these highlights. I'll often see highlights that are very grandiose, but do not have measurements. Numbers are the only way to measure. Show some gauge. I may not know everything about the industry, but I know that signed agreements with Home Depot and over 700 plus dealers and resellers is a big deal. So, you know, third-party validation, social proof with the big name plus 700 or more speaks loudly. Smart Shade market expected to grow 55% annually. Again, not a company forward-looking statement, but I understand, hey, this vertical, it's happening. It's primed for growth, and they make themselves very available for questions. Could get in touch with them. Interested in the Reg A Plus, being able to talk about everything that's happening here. This has been listed on their site, on other portals here before, but showing what happened on this page. You can see animated GIFs. Makes it very easy to understand the visual. Don't use a standard image if an animated GIF will provide a better experience for the audience. I get a much better sense of what Rise looks like in action. Have nice visual representations. Again, make sure what you're putting in here matches your valuation. Being able to pull comparables. A lot of what's been talked about in this webinar showing up directly. This reminds me of the Rayton page, Rayton Solar's Reg A Plus, where a lot of animated GIFs. I felt like I could really understand what was happening. They used Bill Nye the Science Guy as social proof, third-party validation. But again, the visuals in between, this is where the deeper connection occurs between your audience and you. As featured on, more social proof, big fan. Successfully pitched on Dragon's Den, Canada's Shark Tank. Strong pipeline of commercial B2B customers. This is what Brendan was saying. Have others do the selling for you. Why did Annex Hotel want to do a video on here? What about Eureka Hub? Going further down, it's passing the glance test for me, showing the numbers. If I want to take a deeper dive, if I want to pull out the lens, the magnifier, I can get everything I need right here. You could tell they've been doing this and they've been able to figure out the key points that our investors are speaking to. Now, I have a couple more examples that want to be able to pull to, and then can look to address any questions, answers. Brendan, can you tell us a bit about Vamper and Somi?
Yeah, so these are 2 companies that we're working on. I can just start with the Vamper. So #1 professional network for musicians and creatives in the world. So it's creating musicians with other people in the industry and things like that. So it's really empowering them, helping them get paid for their work and things like that. You can already see first glance, top of the fold, we have a really nice thumbnail with a picture of their app and their headline. And then also on their thumbnail, they even have social, I believe like it's kind of small. Yeah, they have some social proof there at the bottom. So you can already see like, okay, like, you know, they've already been recognized by Forbes, TechCrunch, you know, so they already are established. They have some people looking at them. Going through the highlights, 1 million signups in 190 countries with 22 month-over-month revenue growth. Right there, boom, right? That's already huge. It's already 1 million people globally, right? In 190 countries. So it's not just, you know, like a US-based thing. This is all around the world already. You know, they already have a lot of followers. Let's see next, 3.3 million raised from music industry executives, VCs, angels, and 2,500 plus crowd investors. So you can already see they have a whole bunch of people already following their account. They already believe in them, right? And they've already raised a lot of money. So this is just continuing to help them scale, help them grow. And then I'll read the last one here, 7 million connections brokered to date between aspiring young artists and industry professionals. So yeah, that pretty much like breaks down a little bit about their mission too, right? How they're bringing together artists and industry professionals to help, you know, everyone get paid, everyone be successful, get a little bit more awareness for themselves, get themselves out there. Nice. And then also, like we said, sorry, Jason, they've already raised over 700,000, which is big, right?
It's big, and Vamper's seen a lot of success. Big fan of the team over there. Looking at the average investments too, a high average investment, over $1,000 per investor. I think Reg CF averages on WeFunder about 650, 750 per investor. So that's an immediate standout. But what I wanted to mention is it's big, but we want to show all different level examples. This isn't a portfolio of success for DNA as much as it is to resonate with issuers who are at different stages. Have a Republic campaign, WeFunder, Start Engine. We're showing different portals. We're showing different raise levels. You can see there needs to be enough momentum. I think 590 investors, lower average investment amount. If you're doing the math on this, it still has that sign off, that third party validation. So big thing is getting over those initial hurdles and strategies around it. But it's important for us to show all different types of examples. So please feel free to send any questions in right now. Also, feel free to reach out to us directly. Brendan, as I'm pulling up questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you? If anyone's looking to get in contact, they said, hey, really like the presentation, have a few other questions. What is the best way to get in contact?
The best way to get in contact with me would be via email at brendan@digitalnicheagency.com. Yep, that's the best way to email me. And then we can connect, talk a little bit about maybe your page, about projects that you're looking forward to, that you're working on, and we can take it from there. You know, it really depends where you are. Like Jason said, we work with all different types of companies. So companies that haven't launched yet, companies that have, and then some that are closer to closing. So depending on what you're doing, we can definitely help you out. If you already have a raise page, we're more than happy to look over it, you know, share it with the team, see what all of us think can help you really, you know, convert more and just be more successful with your page and your raise.
Exactly. And invite listeners to do so. You want to bring as many resources to the table as you can. Get an extra pair of marketing eyeballs on it. We do have time for one question before wrapping at the top of the hour here. How much time does it take to create an offering page, and what softwares do you use? Brendan, you want to tackle that one?
I'll take that one. So I would say, you know, you can, like we said, take your time with your raise page, right? And with your whole campaign. Ideally, you would at least have, I'm guessing, 2 weeks to get it done. So you can have 1 week to really start to work on the script, get all the copy down that you want, you know, make sure that it's all clear, brief, but to the point, and then working also on your design. So I would say give yourself 2 weeks to a month to create your offering page, depending on how much time you want to put into it. And then also for your video, think about that too. That's probably at least going to be like for, solid production and with just timelines and things, I would say give it at least a month. This all just depends on where you're at in your raise. So obviously, but yeah, I would say landing page, at least 2 weeks, like a video around a month-ish.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we are now at the top of the hour, wrapping the webinar for today. We're going to look to get back to some of these other questions directly. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to us, reach out to Brendan, contact us through the site, contact us both on LinkedIn. But want to thank everyone for tuning in. Again, this is the single biggest variable in a performance campaign for digital marketing is the conversion rate, the landing page, i.e. the offering page for investment marketing campaigns. It's been a pleasure to walk in depth with you today, and let's connect.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Take care.